What's up, gamers? It's your boy Kennedy. Hey guys, welcome to our third lesson of linear relations slash systems of equations, which we're going to do at the end of this unit. Yesterday we learned something called y equals mx plus b, and that was our slope y-intercept form. Right, so we had equations that look like this. Y was by itself. Then we had a number times x plus another number. Sometimes it was minus. And we called this slope-intercept form because the number in front of your x is your slope, and the number at the end of it all is your y-intercept. So when you look at an equation, like this first example, you can quickly realize, hey, that is in my form y equals mx plus b, which means I can look at this and realize the slope is 3, and the y-intercept is 4. And that's basically what we did yesterday. We just went through and did those things. We'll do a few review questions so you can get a hold of what your slope and your y-intercept are. So for the second one, if there's no number in front of the x, that means your slope equals 1. And then your y-intercept equals 7. If you look up here, we'll try this one. That's your slope because it's attached to your x, so the slope equals negative 5 over 6. And then your y-intercept in that case isn't 1, your y-intercept is negative 1. If we look at the next one, there's nothing in front of that x, that means my slope equals 1. And my y-intercept equals 2. You can go ahead, pause the video, and try the next 4 on your own, then unpause the video. Wonderful. Hopefully you did that. If you did do that, you should have got for number 3 that your slope equaled 0.5, your y-intercept equaled 1. This one, your slope should have equaled 3 over 5, right there, and your y-intercept should have equaled negative 5. Remember that negative goes with it. Slide to the right. This one's a little trickier. The 2 is multiplied by the x, so that's your slope. But there is no number for my y-intercept. And since there's no number there, we imagine that it's a plus 0. So that means your y-intercept is 0. The last one, my slope would be 3. And my y-intercept would equal negative 10. Wonderful. That's a quick review of what we did yesterday. The reason that's so important is now what we're going to do is we're going to take those equations where we were figuring out slope and y-intercept, and we're going to try to turn those equations into graphs, because we know that graphs can have slopes and y-intercepts, so we can turn these equations into pictures, into straight lines. The way that we do that, so we have 3 examples here, and then you'll have a turn. You want to look at your equation, and you want to make sure it's in the proper form of y equals mx plus b. This one definitely is in the right form. And then you're going to want to write out what is what. So in this case, my slope is 3, and my y-intercept is 4. Perfect. Once you've identified these two things, you're going to try to graph it. To graph something, you have to have a starting point. This y-intercept value is your start point. So you can go to your y-axis and draw a dot at 4. Like that. Your slope tells you where your next points are. I like to call it like a map. It's a map to finding my next point. And the reason it's a map to my next point is because we know that slope equals rise divided by run. So in this case, I have to reimagine the number 3 as being 3 divided by 1. And that will tell me how I get to my next point. I need to rise 3 and run 1. So if I imagine that, if I go up 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then run 1, I would have my next point. And I need to do that a couple times. So rise 3, 1, 2, 3, and then run 1, 1. And I could also do that backwards. So instead of rising 3, I could go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I could go to the left 1, 1. And you'll notice that when I have all these dots on here, I'm creating a straight line. So you want to take a ruler and you want to create a nice line that connects through all of our points that we just did. And that would be our equation or our graph for the equation y equals 3x plus 4. This line represents that equation. Cool. Let's try a couple more. So if I look at part 2, the first thing I want to do is figure out what my slope and my y-intercept are. In this case, my slope equals an invisible 1. My y-intercept equals 7. To graph this line, so to take that equation, y equals x plus 7, and to turn it into a picture, to turn it into a straight line, I start at my y-intercept. So I just draw a dot right there. At y equals 7. And then I use my slope as a rise and a run. If your slope isn't a fraction, turn it into a fraction by dividing by 1. So this would be rise by run, divide by, or run by 1. So I'd go up 1 over 1 to get another point. Up 1 over 1 to get another point. Up 1 over 1 to get another point. And you could work backwards too. So down 1 into the left one. Down 1 into the left one. And you'll notice that you're creating a nice line of dots. If you take a ruler and you play a little bit of connect the dots, you will have your graph. And we always put little arrows on the end of our graph to show that those lines don't just stop at the end of the graph. They actually would keep going if we could see further. Like that. The last one over here. First thing we do is we write out what our slope and our y-intercept are. Our slope is 3 over 5. That's going to be our map, right, to get to our multiple points. And my y-intercept is -5. And that's my starting point for my graph. So I'm going to go down here, start at -5. I'm then going to use my slope to go up 3, right? Rise 3. 1, 2, 3. And then run 5. And remember, we always are going up and to the right. So it'd be run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. If you tried to do this another time, you go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have another second dot there. All you really need is 2 dots, but sometimes it's smart to get a couple more just so that it's easy to play connect the dots. So if you connect those, you get that. This blue line represents our equation y equals 3 over 5x minus 5. That's what this line means. It has a slope of 3 over 5 and a y-intercept of -5. Awesome. You try some. So pause the video. When you come back, there will be lines drawn here. Awesome. If you did those ones, you should have got graphs that look like this. So the first one has a y-intercept of 1. And then up 2 over 1 should get you your next point right there. Up 2 over 1. This one starts at positive 8. This slope is a sneaky negative 1, which is negative 1 over 1. When it's negative, you go down 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1. And you create that line. The last one over here, start at negative 9, way down here. This goes up 7 over 2 to get that spot right there. Up 7 over 2. And you should have got that nice straight line. Wicked. That is taking equations and turning them into graphs. You also could go the other direction. So if you had graphs, you could also turn them into equations. The way that you're going to do that is by realizing if it's a straight line, it's going to follow this format. So you need to find out what the slope is for this question and what the y-intercept is for this question. To do your slope, remember we practiced this a couple days ago. You find your 2 points. They give you a point here and a point here. You go from left to right. You go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and you run 1, 2. My slope is 4 over 2. If you put that in your calculator, that means your slope is 2. Your y-intercept is where this graph crosses your y-axis, which is at negative 3. This means that my equation is 2x minus 3. That's a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of negative 3. If we look at the second one, we can do the same thing. So we need to figure out what the slope equals. The slope equals, pick 2 points. Let's take a point right there and a point right there. It'd be up 1 over 1. So the slope is 1 divided by 1, which we know equals 1. The y-intercept is right in the center of the graph, which is at 0. This means my equation, y equals mx plus b, would become y equals 1x plus 0. Now, we would not write an equation like that, right? We don't write 1x's. We write an invisible 1x. We write it like that. And we also don't need to write plus 0. So we could actually just leave our answer as y equals x. The last one over here, first thing you want to do is figure out the slope. So pick 2 points. Always work left to right. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to the right. That means my slope is negative 4 because I went down 4 divided by 6 to the right. If you left 4 over 6 as your answer, that's not wrong. I wouldn't mark it wrong. But 4 over 6, both those numbers can divide by 2, right? They can simplify to be negative 2 over 3. Your calculator can do that for you. I'll show you that trick later when we have calculators in front of our faces. My y-intercept for this question is right here, which is at 3. This means my equation is y equals negative 2 over 3x plus 3. That would be my equation. A slope of negative 2 over 3, a y-intercept of 3. If you wrote it like this, negative 4 over 6x plus 3, I would mark that correct still. It's just that your slope isn't simplified because both those numbers could divide by 2. Awesome. There's 3 questions here. I want you to pause the video and then try them. Awesome. If you did these questions, these should be your answer. If you look at the first one, negative 4 is my y-intercept. My slope is 2, so up 2, 1, 2 over 1. Perfect. The second one, that's 1.5 is my y-intercept, and we're kind of estimating. And my slope is down 1 over 2, so negative 1 over 2. And the third one, my y-intercept is at 3 right there. And my slope is up 1, run 2 right there, 1 over 2. Wonderful. You guys can go work on your practice sheet. If you need help, pop in the classroom. I'll be there to help you out. Take care. See you soon.